Hey guys, how's it going? It's Murray here. I'm just in the studio right now putting together my lesson for Sunday. I gotta tell you though, putting this lesson together hasn't really been easy. It's kind of hard to explain, but this week we're talking about the book of Judges. And Judges is a really hard book to talk about, not because it's super complicated or anything, but because it describes a lot of really terrible things, like when the Israelites turned against God and all the wars that they fought. But let me start from the beginning. You remember that 2 weeks ago we talked about Joshua the warrior, who led the Israelites during their wars to conquer the Promised Land. There were a lot of people that the Israelites had to fight to move into the Promised Land. Just to name a few are the Amorites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, the Philistines, the Jebusites. But you know what? You guys don't have to remember all of these names. The point is that the Israelites had a lot of neighbors, and they were almost all hostile toward Israel. Now, Joshua died while the Israelites were still fighting. They were never able to completely kick their enemies out of the Promised Land, and they wound up living with a lot of them. This is the time in history that's recorded in the book of Judges in the Old Testament. The judges were leaders of the Israelite tribes who studied God's law, and they used their knowledge to lead the people and settle disputes. But the judges were also trained warriors who led the Israelites into battle. And boy, the Israelites were almost constantly at war. You'll remember I said that they had a lot of neighbors, and all of these neighbors worshiped different gods. None of them recognized the one true God. Well, God protected the Israelites from their neighbors. This was part of the covenant, or the agreement which God had made with Israel. As long as the Israelites remembered God, followed his law, and worshipped him, God would protect them. Unfortunately, though, the Israelites weren't always that great at following God. Many Israelites chose to also worship the gods of their neighbors, and this made God extremely angry. First of all, these other groups of people partook in idol worship, which the Ten Commandments explicitly forbade. But worse than that, many of these gods demanded human sacrifices. And when the Israelites did this, God became furious with them, and he would allow their neighbors to come and conquer them. Now, the story we're looking at today is the story of Deborah and Barak, which took place at a time when the Canaanites were ruling over Israel. Now, the Israelites hated being ruled by the Canaanites because the Canaanites would take their people into slavery and demand huge tributes of wealth and cattle and sheep and other things that the Israelites just couldn't afford to give away. So, when God heard the Israelites crying to him to save them, he had pity on them, and he decided it was time for Israel to retake their own country. He chose Barak, who was a powerful warrior, to lead their army. But Barak wasn't exactly the bravest guy, and God knew that he would require a little extra motivation. This came in the form of a woman named Deborah. Deborah was a judge, a leader of the Israelites, and she was also a prophetess who received instructions directly from God. This made her extremely wise. She used to go to a big palm tree in the highlands of Ephraim and meditate there on God. People from all over Israel went there to ask for her advice.
Deborah, my sister and I don't get along.
Treasure the differences of your relatives because they add an extra spice to your life that you would otherwise miss.
Deborah, do you think I should buy a new cow?
Money can become milk to feed a household, but not if it isn't spent.
Deborah, why does God keep making me fall off my balcony?
Do not test the Lord your God. That means build a railing. Common sense, Michael, common sense.
Deborah, terrible news. King Jabin has demanded another tribute from us.
Another one? But we just sent him a tribute.
I know, but he still isn't satisfied. His general Sisera is leading an army with 900 chariots to enforce it.
But this will empty our entire treasury.
And when we have no sheep, cattle, or silver left to give the Canaanites, they'll start taking our people as slaves.
God, I'm coming to you now to ask you to show mercy to Israel. Don't let their enemies treat them this way and bring them back into slavery after you freed them from Egypt. Free us from our servitude to King Jabin.
Deborah!
God!
Hello, Deborah. It's good to talk to you again. I've heard your prayer and have come to tell you that I know the Israelites are asking me for mercy.
Lord, I know the Israelites are stubborn and willful. Do you have any room in your heart for them?
I never stopped loving the Israelites, Deborah. I still remember the covenant I made with them when I set them free from Egypt. I've kept my end of the deal, Deborah, but the Israelites haven't. They keep forgetting that I'm in charge of the whole universe and that they're the people I chose to spread that message to the whole world. They keep worshiping false gods and undermining my plan.
Lord, this keeps happening to us. Our people keep forgetting you and losing your protection. My whole long life I've been listening to news about wars and kings competing for the most land and the biggest armies. Is this how the world is going to be forever?
No, Deborah, this won't continue forever. One day there will be peace all over the world, and war will be a thing of the past.
Good riddance.
But until then, all of my people will have to rely on me to get through these tough times. That's what I wanted to tell you, Deborah. I have chosen a hero to lead the Israelites in rebellion against Canaan. Barak from the tribe of Naphtali will lead them, and you will give him my instructions.
And so Deborah sent a messenger to the land of Naphtali to summon Barak to her.
Barak, listen. God has given me the directions we need to defeat Sisera. He wants you to take 10,000 warriors from Naphtali and Zebulun to the top of Mount Tabor. Wait there until dawn. God will bring Sisera's army out to face you. When the sun rises, charge down at them, and you will win.
This is a bold plan, Deborah. The Canaanites have far better weapons and vehicles than us. The odds are pretty bad.
I know, Barak, but God has promised you a victory if you follow his instructions. If you don't, then Israel will continue to suffer under the Canaanites.
I'll go, but on one condition. I want you to come with us, Deborah. I don't have the faith or the courage to carry out this mission. But you can talk directly with God. If you show your confidence in this plan by joining us on Mount Tabor, I'll go. But if you won't come with us, I won't go.
All right, Barak. I'll go with you so that God's mission is fulfilled. But listen, because you've shown your lack of courage, the victory we win will not be credited to you. Instead, God will give his glory to a woman. So there.
Barak didn't quite know what to make of Deborah's prophecy, but he went with her up to the top of Mount Tabor. General Sisera, we've received reports that an Israelite rebel has assembled a force to oppose our invasion. They're encamped at the top of Mount Tabor.
Ha! Too cowardly to come out and face us in the open field. I reckon they have maybe 900 to 1,000 troops tops. That's why they're hiding on the mountain. Come on, we'll surround the mountain and cut off their escape routes.
Sisera's army encamped around the mountain. Night fell, and as dawn approached the following morning, Deborah gave Barak the command to attack.
Get up, Barak! Look, God has given Sisera to you just like he promised. Charge the enemy now and God will lead you.
Hey, do you hear that?
Yeah, it sounds like a fly buzzing in my ear.
Well, now it's getting louder. It sounds like a chariot wheel spinning round and round.
And now it sounds like a waterfall.
Do you feel the ground vibrating? At that moment, the sun came up over the horizon and illuminated the face of the mountain. The Canaanites were shocked to see 10,000 Israelites charging down the mountain at them. God struck them with panic, and they broke ranks, scattering out into the valley. The Israelites swept through them and destroyed their entire army. Like I said before, you guys, the book of Judges can be really difficult to talk about sometimes because of all the horrible things that happen in it. But these terrible things that happened to the Israelites were a consequence of their not following God. And to be totally honest, we in our modern lives often forget to follow God too. When we have God in our lives, He helps us to get through all the challenges and the problems that we encounter. And this is something that He gives us for free. It's a gift. So it's pretty terrible when we neglect that gift and forget to thank God for it. The Israelites forgot about that a lot. Even though God had delivered them from slavery in Egypt and protected them in the desert and helped them to conquer the promised land, they still kept forgetting to worship Him over and over. But whenever the Israelites realized the consequences of their actions and asked for God's forgiveness, He delivered them from their enemies and protected them again. And likewise, even though we often forget to follow God, when we ask for His forgiveness and really genuinely ask Him to help us follow Him better, He'll give us that help, and He'll protect us from all of our issues. Now, after the victory of the Israelites at Mount Tabor, they continued their war with the Canaanites for a while, until they finally captured the city of King Jabin and were able to defeat him. After this, Deborah wrote a song for the Israelites to sing that recounted all of the things that God had done for them during the war. This song can also be found in the book of Judges, and the fact that Deborah wrote a song of praise for God is a really important lesson for us. When we worship God, we also sing a lot of songs of praise that we call hymns. These hymns are really important because when we praise God for all the things He does for us, it helps us to remember Him in the future so that we're less likely to keep forgetting Him and turning away from Him. This Sunday, we're going to write our own song of praise for God. We're going to think about all of the great things God's done for us and the things He's taken away from us and all of the good qualities that God has revealed to us. Then we'll sing our song of praise together over Zoom. And Karen Orr, who's the St. Andrew's youth leader, will be joining us to help us worship and praise God. So I can't wait to see you all this Sunday at 11:30 for that. Until then, you guys, I hope you all have a really good week. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and take care of each other. God bless, and we'll see you soon. Oh, and by the way, do you still remember what Deborah said about the glory of the battle going to a woman? Well, as it turned out, Sisera escaped the battle and managed to evade Barak. He would have gotten away, except that he went to the tent of a woman named Jael and asked her to hide him. When he was underneath a big pile of blankets, she gave him some warm milk and he fell asleep. And then she murdered him with a tent peg. Yeah, Judges is kinda weird.